Okay, it looks like we only have two templates to do today. We're pretty much doing the same thing, except they're called combined inequalities. You're gonna solve it, you're gonna graph it, and you're gonna write it in interval notation. The only thing is, you have a combined inequality, which means you have two solutions. So, part one, I'm gonna rewrite it for you. It's not gonna be like this on the worksheet. They're gonna be split up for you already. So I'm gonna rewrite it. I'm gonna rewrite it as 10x is less than 20 and 10x is greater than 5. So let's rewrite it, because on the worksheet, it's gonna be written for you, so. Okay, notice that there are two equations that you have to solve. So you're gonna divide both sides by 10 on the first one. You're gonna get x is less than, I divided by a positive number so I do not switch the sign. 20 divided by 10 is 2. So there's one equation. The other equation you're gonna divide by 10. X is greater than 5 divided by 10 is a positive 1/2. So the only difference from yesterday's notes to today's notes is that there are two answers to the problem. The next thing you're gonna do is what we did yesterday. You're gonna graph, show me where 0 is. 1/2 is to the right of 0, and the 2 is farther down to the right of 0. I like graphing like this because you don't have to sit there and put a whole bunch of dashes on your paper. Notice in this problem that neither one of them has a line underneath them. So they're both open. Whoops, not that one. Sorry, let's back up. There's an open circle at 2 and an open circle at 1/2. So far, so good. You have open circles because there's no line underneath it. Okay, let's start with the 2 first. So let's look at the 2, which is right here, you guys. You need to shade towards the left. Are these two arrows, this one right here and this one right here, going in the same direction? And same thing with the 1/2. This one and this one are going in the same direction. So your final answer in interval notation is, if I start from the left and I go towards the answer, I'm gonna have a parenthesis at 1/2 and another parenthesis at 2, because they're both open circles. So the answer is between 1/2 and 2 with parentheses. Parentheses mean open circles. Okay, the next problem. Again, it'll be split up for you on the worksheet, so I'm gonna split it up for you. It'll be split up for you, so it won't look like this. Let me just see if it's a greater than sign. It'll already be broken up for you. So this is what it's gonna look like on your worksheet. So you're gonna have two answers. The first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna subtract 5 to both sides. You're gonna get 2x is less than or equal to 10. 15 take away 5 is 10. You're gonna divide both sides by 2. You're gonna get x is less than or equal to 5. You're gonna subtract 5 to both sides. You're gonna get 2x is greater than, 3 take away 5 is a negative 2. Divide both sides by 2. X is greater than. It doesn't matter that this is a negative number. It's what you're dividing by is a positive number. You do not switch the sign, so it's a -1. Now that I solve for it, I have to graph them. Show me where 0 is. A -1 is about to the left of the 0, and 5 is about here. So I put a -1 and 5 on my number line. Okay, watch carefully. I'm going to start with the 5 and notice that it's a less than and an equal sign, so it needs to be a closed circle. See which direction that it's shaded? It's shaded. These two arrows have to be looking alike, and they are. Notice that this one does not have a line underneath it, so it's an open circle, and it needs to compare to that one, which has to be on the same direction. I have to state my interval notation, and I always go from left to right. And I know an open circle is a parenthesis. It's a -1 to a +5, but you need to put a bracket at the end of it. I think this is the last one. Nope, I guess we have 2 more, sorry. We have 2 more, I didn't see that. They're broken up for you. The first thing you do is you subtract 7. You're going to have a -2y is less than or equal to a -6. I divide by -2. I divide it by a negative number. Everybody see that these are negative? That means I have to switch my signs to the opposite direction. A -6 divided by -2 is a +3. I subtract 10. I subtract 10. I get 4y is less than a -6. I divide both sides by a +4. I do not have to switch my sign. A -6 divided by 4 ends up being a -1.5, a -1.5. I'm going to graph it. Well, here's 0. Where is 3 located? Isn't 3 located about here? And isn't a -1.5 located to the left of the 0? I'm going to start with this one right here. Notice that it's greater than or equal to, so there has to be a closed dot there. This one right here does not have a line underneath it, so it's an open circle. Okay, watch to see which way I have to shade. Let's look at this one right here, the 3. It needs to go in this direction because this arrow and this arrow need to be in the same direction. And the -1.5 has to go in that direction. So how would you state the answer to this one? It's everything from a -infinity to a -1.5. And I'm going to use a parenthesis after a -1.5 because it's an open circle. And then do you see that there's blank, but then it picks up again at 3, so it's a bracket because it's a closed circle to infinity. I have 2 answers to this problem because I have 2 shaded in areas. Okay, the next one, last problem of the day. If I were you, I'd shut it off. I would try to do it by yourself, the last problem, and if you can do the last problem by yourself, then you should be able to do the worksheet by yourself. Okay, in order to get P alone, I need to subtract 2. The opposite of a +2 is a -2. P is less than a -3. I divide both sides by a -4 in order to get P alone. I divide it by a negative number. I need to switch my sign from less than equal to greater than or equal to. A -8 divided by a -4 is a +2. I make my number line. I'm going to put a +2 on this side of the number line and a -3 on the left of your number line. The -3, you guys, has an open circle. The +2 has a closed circle. Everybody knows why. The 2 has a line underneath it. Notice which way the -3 is pointing, to the left, and this one's pointing to the right. This was supposed to have been an or, not an and. The answer has to have 2 because you have one shaded area and another shaded area, and you're always starting from left to right. So my first answer is a negative infinity to a -3 with a parenthesis, and then it's gonna pick up at 2, and it has to be a bracket because it's a closed circle, to a positive infinity. And that's all the notes for today.